Hello friends, my name is Kaylee Keller and I am so privileged to be your instructor for this Acting 101 class today. My goals for this class is to teach you how to build your resume, help you navigate the casting and the audition process, walk you through a day on a film set, teach you some on-set film expectations and basic terminology you're gonna wanna know. And lastly, to share with you the importance of keeping strong in your Christian faith as you navigate this challenging yet influential industry. All of this information that I'm sharing with you has been collected from my own personal experiences being in this industry. I pray that this class blesses you, that it resonates with you, and that it helps you get off to a really strong start as an entertainer. Let's say that you recently realized that you enjoy entertaining and you want to start being in some projects. How do you begin? Well, just like any other job, you're going to need to build your resume. The more experience you gain, the more hireable and marketable you're going to become. And one of the best places to start getting opportunities is in your very own community. Audition for your local theater production. Sign up for those acting, dancing, music courses. And look into the filming projects at your local community college. Film students are always making demo work. So look for opportunities to film local business things, local business commercials, and plug into your local church. Maybe you could join the worship team, help with the holiday production, be on tech crew. The list goes on and on. So my point is just be diligent and really look into the opportunities your own local community has to offer. And social media is a really great tool to utilize. Follow some local groups in your areas and check for upcoming projects. And lastly, do not underestimate the power of performing for your own friends and family. All of this is how I started. And this journey is really going to help you find your niche. You're going to discover what areas of performing that you're most passionate about. Maybe you just like film. Maybe you're a musical theater kid. Maybe you want to do the recording artist music route. Maybe you're going to want to do all of it. This process is going to help you discover that. So let's say you've done a lot of local events and you're really ready to start working maybe more full-time as an actor, or you're more available to travel. This is where I encourage you to sign up for a casting website and also sign up for social media casting groups. But what is a casting website? A casting website serves as a hub for casting notices. By having a profile, you're going to gain access to a multitude of audition opportunities, including roles in film and television, theater, commercial, voiceovers, and so much more. Casting websites, they're really great. They're going to open up a library of projects for you going on across the US that you can submit yourself to. And they also serve as your digital portfolio. So the more professional yours looks, the more likely you're going to be considered by acting agents for their projects. I encourage you to set yours up well. Look at professional actors' profiles, use them for reference, and spend time really looking into the best way to display your information. And be sure to keep it relevant and updated, right? And in this class workbook, I actually have listed a few well-known industry websites that I personally use and recommend. Most of these sites, they're going to give you the option to have different levels of subscriptions. So I encourage you to just compare the benefits between them and decide what you're looking for. The free packages do tend to limit how much you can have on your profile, like the photos and videos and stuff. And then the ones that you pay for, obviously you get a lot more features and materials. So I recommend trying out all the free versions first, see what you think of them, see which ones you like before you commit to a subscription. Because if you get a subscription to all of them, great, good for you, but it can be costly. So don't feel like you have to pay for all of the ones listed in the workbook. Just pick one, get to know it well. Maybe you get one subscription, keep the others free, however you want to do it, but just don't pressure yourself with it. And constantly make sure you're engaging with it, because that's the point of why you have it. So just look daily for opportunities. Make sure you're constantly keeping on it, seeing what's on it, and submit for stuff, because on these profiles, you can submit yourself for projects. So be submitting yourself. And also just don't get discouraged if you're not booking things within a few days of signing up. You know, I know there's always that excitement that when you sign up for something, you're going to get all these jobs right away. And maybe you do, and congratulations if you do. But know that in this field, it can take a while. They say for every 100 no's you get, you may get one yes. And I hope that's not the case for you, but just so you know, that's the case for a lot of us actors. And so you gotta just keep putting yourself out there. Don't get discouraged. Keep submitting for things and know that the Lord, He has you in His hands. Now that you're submitting for both local and nationwide projects, you're going to start having auditions. So for this portion of the video, I want to talk about a few things that you need to have ready to go to be audition ready at all times. The first thing you want is professional headshots. Very important. You need to make sure that you hire a photographer who is already experienced with this. Lighting's really important. The professional quality of the camera, angles are very important for this, and just coloring overall, from the colors that you're wearing to your skin complexion with your background walls. It's very important. So you want somebody who knows what they're doing, because this picture is going to showcase who you are as an actor. You know, when you're submitting for a casting or an audition, your headshot gets put in with all of the other actors auditioning. It could be like 20 people for a small project, and it could be like 2,000 people if it's a bigger project. So you just want your photos to look professional and competitive. You know, if they don't look very good, you won't even be considered. If they're too photoshopped and you just look like a fuzzy airbrushed person, they won't be considered. You know, they're looking for real people, and you want the photos to look relevant, real and relevant. So it should look like the best version of you. And it also should be relevant within a couple years of how you look. You know, you don't want a 10-year-old headshot and you show up to an audition and you look completely different than what they were expecting. So just having a really good headshot goes a really long way. It's very important. And you're also going to want to ask your photographer for different angles of shots. You're going to want a full length, and which is like your whole body. It's called full length body shots, which is a picture of your whole body. And then you're going to want waist up as well, which would be like your literal waist up, and then your headshot, which is kind of like chest or shoulders up. You want options. So you want those in different angles and in different ways. And that's going to be very important, because for different kinds of projects, they'll request it. The second thing you need to prepare for auditions is an acting resume. So your casting website will have things listed, and that will be like a digital resume for you, but you're also going to want to print off a physical resume. So this should be a one-pager that lists all of the acting and performing things that you've been a part of. And when you go to an audition, typically you bring a headshot and your resume with you to hand in to the casting director and the casting agent. 3, monologues. You're gonna wanna have a few monologues prepared. Okay, so it's recommended to memorize a 1 to 2 minute script, which is also what we call a monologue. One of these should be a dramatic, emotional, moving piece. And one should be a funny, lighthearted, humorous piece. So we call this a dramatic and a humorous piece. And if you're a singer, you also want to have a clip of a song ready to go that shows off your vocal range well. And this you're going to want for both digital and online auditions and in-person auditions. So when you're in person in a room and you're asked to audition in front of the agent, I've been asked to do all 3 of those. Like, let me see your dramatic piece, perform it. Okay, let me see your humorous piece, perform it. Okay, do you have a song? You're a musician, do something for me. If you're a dancer, they might ask to see a little move or a little thing you do. If you got some kind of special skill, like you yodel or something epic, they may ask to see a little bit of that. So just prepare yourself, prepare yourself well with scripts and with your special talents, because you may be asked to do those. 4, self-tapes and acting reels. So you're gonna wanna make yourself a self-tape or an acting reel. And a self-tape is a specific kind of acting audition in which an actor records their performance at home and submits it to casting directors or other industry professionals for later viewing. So this kind of goes along with a monologue, right? So in person, you have your 1-minute monologue prepared and you perform it. But online, you want to take that monologue and record a video of yourself performing it and film it and submit it as a self-tape. That's what that would be. And 2, an acting reel. So this is also a video reel known as a sizzle reel, a demo reel, an acting reel, or a show reel. And this is a short compilation of montage videos that showcase your best on-camera performance. So this is pretty much a collage of clips from projects that you've been in. And lastly, number 5, you're gonna wanna have an at-home audition setup. So if you look closely at this video, you're gonna see my setup. I've got a smooth backdrop behind me. It's undistracting, it's not wrinkly, it's a complementary color to my skin tone, right? So if this was like a white, creamy color, you wouldn't see me or my features very well. Secondly, I've got really good lighting. It's even lighting. It's not casting any big shadows behind me. My face isn't half lit or kind of weird colored, and that's because I'm using a even ring light. And then for my camera, I'm using a 4K camera on a tripod, and the tripod's adjustable, and I can put it at the right height and I can angle it where I would like it. So in the workbook that I have with this class, I've actually listed as a reference the items that I use for this. So I've got and it's all portable. So this is a portable backdrop. You can fold it up and put it in a bag, and it's double-sided, so you've got coloring options. My tripod can get really tall. It can be a full body length, or it can be a headshot length, and that also folds up. And then I've got different sizes of ring lights. So if I'm traveling, I can take the small one, and if I'm at home, I can use the big one. And then, I use an iPhone camera. Honestly, I've got the newest iPhone. It's a 4K camera, so I'm able to just film directly off my phone. But you can also use, a video camera as well, just something that's high quality and professional. But it's important to have a really good at-home setup for a multitude of reasons. One, we discussed having a self-tape. And what a self-tape is. You will be asked to submit self-tapes if you do online castings and auditions through your casting website. Oftentimes, if you submit your information and the organization is interested in you, they will email you a script for their project and ask you to audition with their script. Or they may ask you to just submit in the self-tape you already, an already filmed self-tape. So you want to, if they ask for that, you want to have a really good self-tape ready to go. But if they ask you to do their script, you're going to need to send it in by their deadline, and you're going to need to knock it out and do it. And this is where you'll use your home setup. Also, a lot of auditions are starting to happen digitally. So, you might get a callback, which we're going to discuss more in depth in the next portion of this video. But you might get asked to do a callback, or you might be asked to meet through Zoom or through a video chat. And so if you have any of that happening, you're also going to want to use your lighting and your backdrop. And then lastly, when you travel a lot for work, you're going to want to take it all with you. So I'm often traveling, whether I'm filming for other projects or speaking at events or playing, music at them, whatever. I do a variety of things. So if I'm doing any of these things and I'm working and I'm gone and I get asked to submit an audition, or I get asked to do a meeting or make a video teaching or something, I like to have all my stuff on me, with me, so I'm prepared at all times. I feel like the more you do acting regularly, whether you start doing it more part-time or even potentially full-time, the more you just need to be flexible with it and take it all with you. Because it's kind of a part of your life. You might be on set for a different project and be asked to audition from your hotel room. So the more you act, the more you'll see it is a way of life. And having stuff that is portable and multi-useful that you can take with you or you can set up at home is really going to benefit you in the long run. Let's say you did an audition, right? Whether you submitted it online or you showed up in person, you did your audition, which we just talked about preparing for auditions. So say you were prepared, you totally rocked it, and now you hear back from the agent or the company and they say they want to see you again. This is what is known as a callback. And a callback is an invitation to return for a second or third audition or interview. The person that will contact you for a callback will usually be the casting director, who's also typically referred to as a casting agent. Okay, so casting director, casting agent. And they essentially, their job is to bring actors and productions together. All right? So that is their job. They are hired by the production company or by the director, by the company to cast actors and to audition actors and to find the best actor for the role. Okay? And then they've got to meet the director's vision with that. So meet the right actor for the project to meet the director's vision. So if you get a callback, it means they have interest in you and they want to see more of you to help make their decision. So depending on the project, you could have one callback. You could have two callbacks. And then maybe you book the job. You could also have several months of callbacks, especially when you start getting into big budget, big films that you see in like the movie theaters. Sometimes they have months and months and months of callbacks, slowly filtering out actors. And this is where they'll typically do a chemistry read. So a chemistry read is an opportunity to read with the other actors being considered for a role opposite of yours. So these are usually for the lead roles. And the main purpose is to see how you instinctively connect and work with the actor and have chemistry with the actor. And these can take place in person, they can take place over Zoom or a digital video call. And the casting directors or agent will always send you information about what they want. So as long as you follow their instructions on what they're asking for, you're going to be good to go. Congratulations! You auditioned, you got a callback, you did chemistry reads, you were prepared and professional, you did great, you booked the job. Booking the job means the same thing as being hired for the job. So you booked it means you got hired for it. And what's next after you book the job? Well, you'll be in contact with the production company and they should give you some kind of agreement or contract. And this should be for any project. So no matter if it's an independent or a small budget, a no budget, or a big budget, you should have a written out agreement. And it will cover copyrights and ownership, income, travel arrangement, your shoot dates. It all needs to be in there. So there's never any confusion and there's always a legal binding agreement. And typically the production company is going to send this to you. If you're doing smaller scale work, it'll come typically directly from them. It's something that you could read yourself, Google a couple terms if you need to, but it should be something easy and simple to read that just states the basic information. And then when you start getting into bigger scale type work, you would then, have a lawyer or you would be signed with an agency and they would take care of that for you and make sure that everything's good to go. But no matter the scale, so whether you're just starting out and doing some free projects or independent projects or full-blown awesome Hollywood projects, there should always be a written agreement of some kind. And this just covers your basis so, you never have to worry or wonder. And if anything ever happened, you had it in writing what the expectation, what the payment, what everything was supposed to be. So it's just important to have that. You can request it from the production company if they haven't sent it to you. Most of the time they'll send it to you, but I just kind of preface this in this video because I do think it's really important that you always have some kind of contract or agreement, no matter the stage you are in your acting career. You need to have one. So it's important. Talking about booking, I want to just take a moment to warn you. So this little PSA, okay? You really need to be careful in this industry. This industry has a really big reputation of scandal. So before you actually show up on set, you need to verify that you were booked or hired for a real opportunity. I have tragically heard stories of fake casting notices being, put on websites or posted around, and actors being booked and they travel to the film location to do the photo shoot or to do this film project, and then their families never hear back from them. They never come home. So you can imagine they probably get put in some extremely tragic situation and they don't come home. And I don't say that to scare you or to turn you off from this career, but honestly, stuff like this is happening in every career. And so I feel really privileged to even have this opportunity to get to teach you this class. And with it comes great responsibility. And I have to give you a genuine warning of protection over you. And I also speak from personal experiences. Over the years, I've seen different casting notices that I've got booked for, or people have reached out and booked me for something. And after looking into it, I realized it is a scammy thing or a completely non-existent company. I mean, even just a couple years ago, I was asked to do some kind of commercial model photo shoot thing. And after looking into it, the company didn't even exist. The emails, they were signed by a production company, but when I went to Google to look into the production companies, I couldn't find any information on it. But my email gave me a time and a date and a day of how much I'd get paid, a day rate and all of that stuff, but the production company didn't even exist. And then I ended up even seeing a couple other comments about it being a scam situation, or them that happening to other people with the same kind of companies. So I give you warning to that. Just really look into your bookings. So it's exciting. You get booked. You have this really awesome opportunity. You pray into them, and hopefully they're all real and you never have to deal with that. But I just also must warn you, really look into the company and make sure that this is a legit opportunity, because your safety matters, and it matters to me. So little PSA there. Now that I've stated, that little warning, let me give you a few things you can do to avoid the situation and to stay safe. So first and foremost, we pray for protection, right? Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God, he goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you." And this is just a really beautiful truth in scripture. And it just reminds us that our God does protect us, and we don't need to be afraid. And we should just put on the armor of God and to pray over ourselves. And we also pray for wisdom, right? And in that wisdom, we need to research, like I mentioned, research the company, look into the project, look into the casting agents and directors and publishing companies. And one thing that I always do is I reach out to other actor friends of mine or people that I know in the industry. I just ask them if they've heard of these people, if they've worked with them, what the reputation is. And when you start doing that kind of research, you'll usually get your answer. You'll hear, these people are the best to work with, these people are really difficult, or we've never heard of them before. And my golden rule, don't show up to set alone. There's no reason to. Bring a trusted guardian or friend with you. To this day, I always bring somebody I trust with me. Especially for the first few days, I think it's important to just meet the team and to build trust with them before you're just completely alone on set all day with them. If it's a team that I've worked with, and I know these people and I've worked with them before, that's a completely different situation because there's already trust there. But if it's a brand new project with a cast that I don't know, a crew that I don't know, a production company I haven't worked with, I will bring somebody I trust to set with me, and they'll just kind of hang out. Honestly, they end up being a runner on set. Typically, a production company is like, "Hey, we could use the extra hands. Let them run the errands." So it's kind of fun for me and the person I bring. We get to both have a really cool set experience in different ways. So I just say that to say, bring somebody with you. If you're a child actor, legally you have to. You have different legal rights than if you're, an adult actor. So as a child actor, it's important that you have a guardian that you really trust, that has their best for you and wants the best for you, and they'll just naturally be on set. That's expected. But as an adult actor, it's not something that's required, but something that I strongly recommend and encourage you to do. While we're talking about our faith and discernment, I also want to encourage you to read your entire script before you book the job, before you accept it. So before you sign that contract and you say yes, make sure you've read your script and you know what's written in your character, what's expected of you as an actor. You want to know the actions and the words that are in your script, and just make sure that you're comfortable with it before you say yes and sign your contract. So if there's some things in it you're not comfortable with, you just tell the production company before you say yes and before you're on set filming. Because the last thing you want to do is just not mention any of it, and then you get on set and then you tell the director, "I'm not going to do this, I'm not uncomfortable with that, let's change this." It's extremely unprofessional. It would not go over well. All of that stuff needs to be addressed before you say yes to the project. Now, if you're on set and you get asked to do something that wasn't in the script, that you don't agree with, it's totally okay to say no because you didn't agree to it already. But if you've already agreed to it and you've signed a contract, you're kind of locked in. So if you get booked for like a Christian project or a family-friendly genre project, most of the times they're already really clean and appropriate. And if there's something in that script that you kind of feel uncomfortable with, they'll totally tweak it and make you feel your most comfortable. But if it's a different genre, like mature, PG-13, totally something different, rated R or whatever, if they're looking for compliant actors who are going to do that genre rating. So if you tell them you're not comfortable with all these things, don't expect them to change their whole script for you. Know that they're just going to book an actor who will say and do whatever is written for them, an actor that's much more compliant. So that's something to really know as you're auditioning for projects. Find the genre that you like. I only audition for family-friendly genres because personally, it's a really big deal for me as a Christian. I value my relationship with God, and I do my best to live my life in alignment with the boundaries and the standards that are written in the Bible. And so because of that, I have decided that I don't want to be in any kind of project that isn't honoring to Him or to my Christian faith. So I really just focus on faith-based and family projects. And I encourage you to know your boundaries too. And as a Christian, I encourage you to never get desperate for a project to the point that you compromise. And I encourage you not to go do all of those mature, inappropriate movies. As Christians, God tells us to live set apart, not to compromise, but to be leaders in this world. And when we live a kind of life of leadership, the Lord is faithful to bless it. So I encourage you to stay strong in your faith, in your Christian boundaries and convictions, and from that place, watch how God just brings you the most beautiful opportunities because of it, because you are living uncompromised. Okay, so you booked the job, it aligns with your morals and your boundaries, and you've signed that contract and you're going to get ready to film soon. What is your next step? This is the fun step. This is preparation time. This is where all of your previous experience will come to benefit you, as well as your acting courses and the classes you've taken and educational videos that you've watched. This is where you apply those tools and strategies in the preparation stage. So then by the time you get to film set, you are as prepared as you can be. And in this acting course, I believe some of the other instructors are actually going to be going in depth about preparing and character development. So I'm not going to go too much into that because they're so fantastic. You're going to get such good advice from them. But a few tips that I'll tell you. One, you need to know that script so good. It needs to be so memorized that you're able to be flexible with it. So when you get to that set, that director is going to walk you through your motions, and they could ask you to change what was written in the script or change the actions and motions you were supposed to do, or maybe even change the emotion of that line completely. So the better you know your script and your lines, just the easier it is to take direction. And that goes into another piece of advice that I would say is to receive direction well. Just because you've prepared a certain way doesn't mean that that's exactly what is going to happen once you're on set. Once you're on set, you're going to have the rest of the cast and crew. You're going to have your other actors that are delivering lines differently. And, you might get asked to completely change the way you're delivering it or change the context or stuff like that. So just be flexible and really just trust that the director knows what they're asking of you and do what they ask of you. Take that direction well. And the better you know your script, the better you're going to be able to take that direction. So one thing I really recommend when you're memorizing your script is to memorize it in different contexts. So the script may say you are going to be sitting on the couch and you're going to be crying and you're going to be delivering these dramatic lines. Practice that script sitting on your couch and crying, saying those lines in a very compelling way. But then what I recommend that you do is you walk around the room and you say those lines. And you say them a little more curiously. And then maybe you go and you get a broom and you sweep the kitchen floor and you say those lines joyfully, right? And then what I like to do is I like to actually do my house chores and say my lines in character and in different emotion. And the reason I say that is, for me personally, it helps me to memorize the words with different kinds of actions so it doesn't just get memorized one way. Because I notice with my personality, if I memorize the script exactly as written, with the exact actions on the exact phrases and the exact words of exact context, when I'm on set, I can do it well. But if the director asks me to completely change the scenario, it like throws me off because I've memorized it all together in a package. I've memorized that action on that phrase with that word. So for me, I memorize it in different contexts. So then I memorize the actions separate than the words, then the emotions, and I'm able to kind of piece them all together. And then when I'm on set, if the director asks me to completely change the way I delivered something or completely do a different action, or maybe he wants me to stand up or walk in or walk out of the room and say it instead of sit on the couch, I'm just able to do it because the lines aren't locked in with those actions. They're memorized really, really well, and they're memorized differently and in a way that flows. So I recommend that to you, but you'll learn how you memorize scripts best, but regardless of how that is, just memorize it well and be really flexible on set. Know that the director and the cast and crew, they are all there giving this project their best. They want the best for the performance. They want their best for this project. And so if they ask something of you, do what they ask. Don't feel like you know better. Don't feel like they're wrong. I mean, even if you don't agree with what they're asking, still give them what they're asking of you, because you got to trust them and trust that they actually are the ones behind the camera and they actually see it different than you do. So the more you trust your director and the more you trust your cast and crew and you let go of some of the ways that you had thought it was going to happen and you're just serving the project and you're serving those around you, and you're flexible because the script's so memorized, you can do it any way they ask, you're going to be really professional and really easy to work with, and the project's going to turn out so much better. So as far as prep goes, prep well, so when you get to set, you know your script, you know your actions, you know your character, and you're able to do whatever it is that you're asked to do. And speaking of making the film its best, a big part of that is being your personal best on and off the camera. Film days, they're usually long hours. You may have a 5 a.m. call time and you're on set filming on and off until midnight. You may even have some night scenes where you're filming late at night and late into the hours. And yes, I do say this from personal experience. I recently had a project where I woke up at 4 a.m., got to set by 5 a.m., was in hair and makeup till about 7 a.m., and then filming took place from about 8 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. at night. Didn't get back till like midnight, okay? And that schedule repeated itself for the rest of the entire shoot, which was only a few days, but it was a long few days because of that. So I just say that weird shoot times, they're not uncommon. And everyone on set can really get tired and they can get worn out. And everyone's trying to give the project their all. So it's just really important that you show grace and kindness and forgiveness and appreciation for your cast and your crew and just for everybody involved. Because as Christians, it's not only an impactful time to show the love of Christ to those around us, but it's also going to leave a mark on your reputation, on your character, on on all of those around you. And your reputation speaks louder than your talent. So, if you're the kind of actor that has a negative mood, or you're complaining, or you're short and bossy and grumpy because you're tired, that is how you're going to be labeled. You will be labeled as difficult to work with, and everybody on your team is going to be affected by that attitude. But if you're the kind of actor that's flexible and patient and forgiving and open to the changes, and you show up on set every day as your best self, you will be somebody who is honored and somebody who's respected, and the kind of person that everybody wants to work with, you know? They'll be like, I heard you're so fun, and I heard you're just the best to work with, and you'll get so many more opportunities through that. But truly, most importantly, we would do this to reflect the heart of God and to reflect the heart of God to those around you. And you'll find in those really difficult moments where your patience is being tested, or, you know, something's really difficult, you'll find in those moments, those are the most impactful ministry moments you may have. It's just really beautiful how that happens, right? That you're like in the middle of something hard on set, or something goes on, and then that's where the Lord is really moving. And you don't want to miss out on those opportunities because they're everything. And so I encourage you to really prepare yourself for a day of set. Not only are you preparing yourself, your character, your script, and all of that, but prepare your heart and your mind. Read scripture, pray, listen to worship music every day. So when you're on set, you've been covered by the word of God, you've been with him, you've been in his presence, and you have that mind. You have the mind of Christ and the heart of Christ when you're walking into set, because it comes from a place of spending time with him. So that's my biggest piece of advice to prepare for set, is not only to know your script and your character and to show up well in that way, but show up well as a daughter or son of the Most High. On-set terminology. Now I'm going to walk you through a few basic key terms and definitions that's really helpful to know when you're on set. So that way you know who's who on set, what departments are on set. And first off, what even is a film set? Well, a film set is a designated area or location that is the backdrop of your film. And every film set's really different because the budget's different. So some film sets may be a small team of like 15 people, and some could be a few hundred people. It really varies depending on the budget and the kind of project. So the terms that I'm sharing with you are kind of your basic terms. This is just the overview of all of your departments in the film world, and then a few special job positions under them. Your most common positions that you would really just want to memorize first is number 1. It's called above the line. And this refers to the select group of individuals who are kind of your top hierarchy people. So a film is typically made up of, one, you've got your director. Sometimes you have assistant directors. You're going to have an executive producer or producers. Your cast, which is like the collective term for your actors. Your casting director is who got you your actors. Your screenwriter who wrote the script. And then your crew, that's the term for just everybody else that's working on the set. Second department is called the AD department. Their job is to support the director and ensure that each day of shooting goes smooth and according to schedule. And this team is usually the first AD, which is like a first assistant director, second AD, which means your second assistant director, second AD, set PA, which is like a production assistant. That goes into the third department, which is the art department. And they're the creative team that is building this world, okay? That they're building the film set. They're building this world that can make the viewer and the actors and everybody involved feel a part of it. And this is usually a production designer, an art director, a set dresser, set decorator, your prop manager. Number 4 is the camera department. There's no film without footage. And so it's up to the camera department to capture the footage exactly how the director envisions it. So they got a big job. They got lots of angles to capture, lots of takes to capture. And this is typically your cinematographer, also, your director of photography, camera operator, your first AC, which is like assistant camera, second AC, your second assistant camera, and then like a digital imaging technician. Your 5th department is your electrical department. The job of this department is to ensure that the film has safe and adequate, steady electric supporting and lights. And the people who make this happen are usually like a gaffer or a film technician. And that really goes along with number 6, which is the grip department. So it's not just about having the lights and electricity, but that also needs to be manipulated to create the desired lighting and look for each scene on your film set. So they really work hand in hand. And the people in this department are usually like key grip, best boy grip, dolly grip. And there's really like a collection of nicknames that I've heard for this group of people. Department 7 is hair and makeup. It's really important as well because, they're helping create this imaginary world, both for the actors and, for the overall project. And it's their job to really keep things consistent. So they need to know what set and what scenes coming next and really have that sequenced. And usually, they're your key makeup artist, your key hairstylist, assistant makeup artist, and a hairdresser. Goes into number 8, which is the production department. This department is really like the nuts and the bolts of the film set. They oversee the entire production. They make sure that it's running smooth, that it's on time, that it's on budget. And this usually includes like a line producer or, your UPM, which is like a unit production manager, your production coordinator, your film production accountant, a variety of terms for them as well. That leads us to number 9 is your sound department. They're responsible for getting the best on-set sound, which is actually a really hard job. These are all hard jobs, but this one is, I feel like, especially hard. They use all kinds of techniques and innovations to get crystal clear sound. So like if it's outside and windy, you still got to get that sound to come through, or you'll see boom mics and clip-on mics, and if your clothes are wrestling the mic, they have to handle all that. They're usually your boom operators, your film mixers. Sometimes you just hear them referred to as the sound guy, sound girl. And then now you've got your wardrobe department. It's also important, just like your hair and makeup, they got to keep everything sequenced, and it helps the actors seamlessly get into their character, but it also really helps create that story and that world that is being put together. So that's your costume designer, your wardrobe designer, your tailor, your shopper. There's a lot of terms for them as well. Stunt department, not every film's going to have this. It's probably going to be a little bit bigger budget if you do. But it's really important that if you do have some stunts, that everything, stays safe. So you're going to have a stunt coordinator, a fight coordinator, your fight choreographer, a stunt performer, or also just what we call like stunt doubles, and then an on-set medic, which hopefully you don't have to use. And this brings us to our last department. This is the VFX department. It's kind of known as your special effects department. And again, it's possible to shoot a movie without really needing this department. But if they are there, they're typically going to be called, your on-set supervisor or your VFX coordinator. And sometimes special effects just take place in post, so you might not even see them at set at all. So there you go. That was a lot. Way to take it all in. And if you need to look back on that workbook that's attached with this class, all of those terms are in there. I encourage you to just get familiar with your departments, memorize, your core people and your core departments, and know that every set's going to be a little bit different. And sometimes sets have their own nicknames for people, but this is a very good industry standard. Now that you're familiar with the departments and the people working on set and all of the job descriptions, I want to introduce you to a few phrases you're going to hear on set. And I also just want to walk you through a day on set. So first thing you're going to receive is a call sheet. This is a list of the day's work schedule, what time everyone's needed, what scenes are being filmed for what days, and that's going to be followed by your call time. So a call time is the time that you personally are requested to meet for the day. So you typically get, your sheets before you film, and then you'll have your call times, and it'll be what days that you need to show up. And once you show up on your location at your call time, usually you're sent into wardrobe and hair and makeup, and that can take several hours to get ready, to get your hair done, to get your makeup done, to put your clothes on, to put your costumes on, get that all taken care of. And then once you're ready, you get sent back to your set and your director, and they're typically going to walk you through what you're going to be doing on set. And scene blocking is when the director or the assistant director works with you or the actor to figure out their movements. So your body positions, your body language, and just the camera and the lighting positions. And then they're also going to go over your markings. So a marker is the exact location that an actor needs to stop and stand and deliver lines from. So, they usually go hand in hand with blocking. So the director's going to take you through your blocking, all of your motions, kind of the flow of the scene, and then he's going to show you where you're supposed to stop on the floor with your tape. And then once you have your blocking and your marking instructions, you're going to get a few practice run-throughs with it. you and all of the other actors, anybody who's in that scene, you're gonna just rehearse it a few times. You're gonna get comfortable, you're gonna know where your markings are, you're gonna do the actions, you're gonna deliver the lines, you're gonna rehearse it a few times, as well as the camera crew and the lighting, and just make sure everybody knows what they're doing. And then once the director's ready, they'll say, they want to start filming. So you'll start at your starting places, and then you're going to hear a series of terms being said. This can be said by the director or sometimes the assistant director. But you'll typically hear something like last looks, which is where wardrobe and hair and makeup come, powder you, double check your clothes, make sure that you have your accessories, make sure that, your makeup's still good, kind of touch up. You'll see the powder come out and little things being all fixed and the microphone being hidden. You're gonna hear quiet on set. This means total silence. So any movement or sound can really spoil the shot, and it can be very costly. And you don't want to be the one responsible for that. So make sure you turn those cell phones off. I'm serious. I've been in the middle of a dramatic take with someone and a cell phone goes off and everyone gets very upset. So don't be that person who kept your phone on. So turn that off, and then the director is going to typically say turn over, camera starts speeding, cameramen reply, then they say sound and the sound replies and they say speed. And then you'll see the director or an assistant or somebody do that little clipboard. It'll be scene 1, take 1, clap the board. Director will say positions and then typically say action. And then when action starts, you're on. You come in at your appropriate time of the scene and you're in that scene until the director yells cut. And cut is when the scene is over. Do not end the scene until the director says cut. And then you're actually going to do it over and over and over again, several different times typically, because you're going to have different angles. You're going to have close-ups, you're going to have body shots, you're going to have different kinds of lighting and camera angles. So you just work on it a few times. It can take hours sometimes. It can take a couple of minutes to several hours to really capture a certain scene. And one thing just to kind of note, you're never really going to film a project in sequence with the script. So when you get a script, you're reading an entire story, but you don't actually film it that way typically. You film based on location. So if day 1 and 2, you have a barn, and that's, you've booked a couple shoot days in your barn, you're going to go through your whole script and just pull out all the barn scenes. So you could be doing scene 1 and scene 30 in the same day, back to back. And then day 3 and 4, maybe you're at the beach or you're at the field or something, and it's all of those scenes associated with that. Maybe day 5 and 6 is the house. So typically as an actor, you never really film the script as in sequence. You just film it according to what set you're on, and then you typically get to watch the sequence with the audience, or maybe you'll get a little special premiere of it as a casting crew or something. But you pretty much are going to experience the sequence of the movie for the first time when it's finished, and that's always really fun. So that's kind of a day in the life on a film set. You got wardrobe, you're going through, your different scenes, you're blocking, your markers, you're filming them a couple times over and over, and then you do it according to what's on your schedule. And then you just do that day after day. And, the wardrobe departments and tech departments, they, powder you up and fix your clothes and make sure that everything's good to go. And it's your job as an actor to just be patient with everyone and to show up in each moment of that scene as authentic as you can. Take direction well, like we talked about earlier, be patient with everyone, and just really have fun. Enjoy it. This is where the fun part happens, right? This is the fun of it all. You did the auditions and you did the prepping and you did all of this really hard work. You memorized the terms, you did all this stuff, and now you get to live in it and you get to just embrace it and enjoy it. And so this is really the fun part, I think, of this experience. The last topic we will be discussing is what happens after you finished filming. So say you just had this, you had this amazing experience, you enjoyed set, you just got home. What happens now? Now your film is in what we call post-production. And post-production is the stage after production when the filming is wrapped, which is also another word for ended, and the editing and the visual and the audio material aspect of it begins. Post-production refers to all of the tasks associated with cutting raw footage, assembling the footage, adding music, dubbing sound, adding effects, just to name a few things. And the length of post-production, it really depends on the length of the film and the time the editors have. A 45-minute film is going to take a lot less editing than a 2-hour full-length film. And also then if you have any special effects, that can take longer. So I've seen productions take as quick as 6 months, up to a year to 2 years. And what are you supposed to do when your film is in post? As an actor, you're just supposed to keep auditioning for projects. The goal is you're on set booking new ones while old ones are in post and editing. And then, you just keep being on new things. And then every 6 months to a couple years, you're going to have stuff coming out that you were in while you're filming new stuff. And that's how you just keep working. And then when something that you were in, when it's done with post and it's ready to be released to the public, the production company, they'll get a hold of you and they'll let you know the promotion plans, if certain distribution companies picked it up, if they're going to submit it to film festivals, or kind of what the publicity plan is behind it. And, maybe they'll invite you to a special screening, or maybe they'll invite you to a very special premiere of the show. It really just depends on what happens with that project. And it's really exciting because sometimes that's the very first time when you've actually seen the entire project from start to finish. So you literally could have been on set a year or 2 years ago filming this really awesome project, and then 2 years later, or a year later, 6 months later, you get to go back and see it in full for the first time. It's really, really awesome and really exciting. And while you do that, you keep working on more projects. And then when the projects are done and they're out for the public, then you get to take some of your best parts, best bits in that show or in that film, and put it in your acting reel. So once that show comes open to the public, you're going to get those little acting clips of you in it, and then you put them on your reel, and they just help you build up your resume so you can keep getting booked for things. As we end our time together today, I just want to encourage you and leave you with 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So I encourage you to keep your heart focused on the Lord. Keep steadfast. Keep immovable in your faith. Stay humble. And when you do those things, just watch how the Lord protects you and guides you and blesses you and opens up doors that you could never imagine. I just want to let you know if you ever have any more questions about moving forward in this career or about faith or anything related to that, you are more than welcome to reach out to me on social media. You can go to KayleeKeller.com. And from there, it can take you to my social media pages. But you're more than welcome to shoot me a message. And I try my best to just, get back to messages and give you guys advice in any way that I can. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions, or, you need some advice, or, you just want to connect. It's been an absolute privilege, and be blessed. Bye.